Rob, I'll start with the vice captaincy, if that's all right. Switching from Pope to Brook, what's the thinking, the reasoning, and why now?
I think now's the right time. It's just pretty simple, really. We think he's the best person for the job. He's had more experience now in leadership. And, I think that Harry Brook deserves it really for the way that he's done it. And there's no really other ulterior motives at all, other than the fact that we think Harry Brook's the best person to be the best vice captain.
Where does it leave Ollie Pope? Some people might take from that decision that his position at three is less secure. Is that true?
No, I don't think there's not like an elaborate scheme that, if we take the vice captaincy off Ollie Pope, it makes him easier to drop. It doesn't matter really if you're vice captain or not, like if we don't feel you're the right person, wherever you're batting, whether that's an opener, a number five, wherever, we'll end up bringing in someone that we think can do the job better. So at the moment, Ollie Pope's the man in possession. And, there's a white ball series that Jacob Bethel's playing, things like that. And you know, I know there's not a lot of cricket, but it's still a long way to go. And you sort of never get all the tours we've done. You never make your decisions too early because you never know what might happen. Thing happened with Harry Brook when he missed India, so we tend to leave the decisions as late as possible.
So Pope won't definitely start at three in Perth then?
I won't definitely. Pope, Pope at the moment is the man in possession, and we'll find out what that 11 will be probably 2 days before.
And Will Jackson's inclusion ahead of Ryan Ahmed or Liam Dawson surprised a few people. What's the thinking there?
I think where we're going, conditions, we had a very different makeup to a side when we went to India and the subcontinent. I think for what we've got coming up out there, we think Will Jacks offers a lot of different options. He can come in and do a number of roles really, and that's why we've gone for Will Jacks. The nature of spin out there as well. And I think probably, Ryan Ahmed's had a brilliant year with the bat. He's had a really good few games with the ball, but he hasn't bowled a lot for Leicester. And I know that look, it's not binary. Some people haven't bowled at all for their county if it was Shoaib Bashir. But, being the sole spinner is not something that Ryan Ahmed's done yet. So we just feel that this is the best way to go. The other point is that, as much as it's a squad of 16, the Lions will mirror that as well, and Ryan Ahmed will be on that Lions strip. So if conditions are different to what we expect, then there is a chance for Ryan Ahmed to get across to our setup pretty quickly. So in this regard, we feel we've got every base covered.
Given those conditions, is it possible that you don't play a specialist spinner, particularly maybe in Perth?
Yeah, absolutely. Not just Perth. We'll assess it on the time. We don't know what might happen. Australia, we might get there and they feel that they'll back Nathan Lyon and try and produce pitches that turn. Now that's unlikely. But yeah, we're sort of open to doing anything really. You get there, have a look at the surface, have a look at conditions, have a look at the history of what's been happening as well, or the recent history, and try and pick the best 11 possible.
And how excited are you by the prospect of having Archer and Wood finally, potentially, hopefully, bowling together in Perth?
Yeah, I think I'm probably more excited than anyone else who's got to face them, really. So, look, fingers crossed. We've worked so hard to get to this point. It's the last little step now. So we get this bit right, and then hopefully we've got every option available to us going into that first test match at Perth. That may be Wood and Archer. It may not, but to have that battery of bowlers, every single one of them fit, I'm still fingers crossed for it, but that's the exciting thing.
Yeah, how's Wood's recovery going?
Yeah, good. Probably a little bit slower than we thought, but we're always sort of erring on the side of caution. The thing that Woody always has going for him is that he's never been someone that needs to play lots and lots of games to get into form. He's someone that can bowl in nets, can bowl in middle practice, and all of a sudden he runs up, bowls 95 mile an hour, and he can swing it as well at his best. So we're confident that Woody will be absolutely fine. He'll go out to New Zealand, and we'll have a few players that go out to New Zealand for the white ball, for the ODI series, and start doing their prep there. Some that will do stuff for the Lions in Australia from earlier on in November. So there's a mixture of different processes that we're going through to get players ready for that first test match. But Woody, we're confident that he's going to be all right.
And finally, for me, Ben Stokes, how's his rehab going? Any risk that he won't have a lot of cricket before that Ashes series?
I think he won't have a lot of cricket before that Ashes series, but that didn't stop him last time. I think he had probably the best series he's had for us in the 3 years that Brendan, myself, and Ben have been doing it. With the ball, certainly it's the best I've seen him bowl for a long time, if not ever. And that was without playing a lot of cricket going into the summer. So I have no issues with Ben Stokes at all. And he's generally the type of player that builds, and everything he does gets himself ready for these big moments.
Thanks, Rob.
Stefan, over to you, please.
Hi, Rob. Have you spoken to Ollie Pope? How's he taken having the vice captaincy removed?
Yeah, Brendan rang him first. I think Ben's rang him, and then I rang him last night as well and asked him if he was all right. How's he getting on? He's fine. I think he felt that that was coming. And vice captaincy, like it's, it's sometimes I think it's not always the most important decision that you've got to make at times. We could have gone down the road of not having a vice captain, but when Popey's done it, he's done it well. He's fitted into so many different roles that we've asked him to do over the last few years and done them all well. But Harry Brook's just, I think, the better leader, and will be the better leader going forward as well. So that's why he gets that job.
At the start of the summer, when we were talking about who might be batting at number 3 during the Zimbabwe test going into the India series, Ben Stokes said there was a twisted media agenda against Ollie Pope. Do you accept that by doing this, you've opened up that conversation once more?
I just think it's international cricket. If it's not Ollie Pope, it'll be someone else. There's always a talking point, and I think things like that drive interest towards the game. And these players, someone like Ollie Pope, who's played really well in a tough position as well, he's had to deal with this all along, really, as have any players when especially if you lose a bit of form. That's part and parcel of being an international cricketer. That's why it's tough.
I think we can take that you're not going to tell us who's going to bat at number 3 in Perth just yet. But maybe if we were to ask you who was going to open, you'd say it'd be Zach Crawley and Ben Duckett. Who's going to be at 4? It'd be Joe Root, etc. What can you learn about Jacob Bethell and Ollie Pope between now and the 21st of November that you don't know already that will inform that decision?
I think we'll see a bit more of Jacob Bethell playing in white ball cricket. I think we know a fair amount about Ollie Pope, but Jacob Bethell will continue to get experience, and then someone can cue, well, why didn't he get more experience this summer? That question. But, we'll just learn more and more the more that Jacob Bethell plays.
Have you finalised your coaching staff?
Not yet. No, we're in the process of doing that. Just trying to get the right combination for. You want a group of people that have been successful out in Australia, that understand conditions, that understand what we're doing, and what's required out there with bat and ball. We're in the process of doing that now.
What roles need filling? I mean, presumably there's a fast bowling consultant's position up for grabs.
Yeah, Tim Southey will do New Zealand, and then he's still, he's fresh out of the game. He's still playing franchise cricket, so we'll try and bring someone in with some experience of those conditions. Doesn't necessarily mean it has to be an Australian. It could be anyone that we feel has been out there and done it.
Will Paul Collingwood be part of your staff in Australia?
We're still trying to finalise that now.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Lawrence and then John. Go ahead, Lawrence.
Hi, Rob. Just going back to Will Jacks, you mentioned the nature of spin bowling in Australia. Can you just sort of expand on that and why off breaks are a thing out there?
That's just when you look at some of the history there in the recent times, you look at probably someone like Nathan Lyon skews that. But generally there you want someone who gets overspin, someone who gets a bit of bounce. And Will Jacks isn't a finished article as a spinner, but he's someone that you might be able to get to hold and end up as well. If we're thinking that spinners aren't necessarily going to be the ones that define this series, it may well be different. And the ability to bat. We think he's someone that's not going to be overawed by the occasion, not someone who's going to be overawed by the extra pace and bounce that you get over there. So he's just a really handy option to have for the different conditions that we might come up with. But on the whole, we're expecting the spinners to do a bit more of a holding role, potentially winning you a game on the last day, but it's going to be down to your seamers and your batters to get the runs and wickets.
Is there a scenario then when he might play as the only spinner? You decide to strengthen the batting, leave Bashir out, and Jacks plays as the frontline spinner.
Yeah, I think Jacks goes in as a tactical decision as much as just a replacement. So you can have a second spinner who's there just as an out-and-out spinner who's just going to replace if your number one spinner goes down. Will Jacks offers a few things like that. So you do. It just depends on conditions, really. And the fact that when you get on wickets, but you still might need someone that can bowl a few overs along with Joe Root. So you end up with someone who can rest up the seamers if required, but also the batting down the lower order might become really important. So you just add strength and depth to that.
Thanks.
John Etheridge, please.
Rob, hi. Just on Harry Brook, can we take it now that he's the man you have in mind to be the next Test captain when Ben finishes? And also, you say he's a better leader than Ollie Pope. What particularly are the qualities that you see in him that makes him a better leader?
I think sometimes leadership rests easier with people than others. They're natural at it. I mean, the fact is that, often someone like Ben Stokes hadn't actually been captain that often, and he came in and it sat well with him. Now, that might have been the stage of his career that he was at, but he'd done it 1 or 2 times for England. But when he got the job, you just felt that leadership didn't really contribute to any extra noise around his game. And the same with Harry Brook, really. He's taken it on in that white ball series very quickly, or white ball cricket. Very quickly, he set his style and identity, which is very similar to what someone like Ben Stokes does as well. He's of that sort of ilk. So there's a number of things. Often leadership is that thing that you can't quite describe, but you just know it's there and people follow them. So Harry Brook, like Ben Stokes, is someone that people follow. Doesn't mean that Ollie Pope isn't. It just means that they do it more with Harry Brook.
And is he likely to be the next Test captain?
Who knows? I might not even be in this job when that decision's got to be made.
Yeah, he might not be if we lose the Ashes.
There you go.
Cheers, John. We'll go to Scott Taylor, talkSPORT, please.
Hi, Rob. A lot of the mantra under Ben and Brendan has been about making you feel 10 foot tall. So how easy would it be to lift Ollie Pope up after what he might see as a setback, losing the vice captaincy?
As I say, we've all spoken to Ollie Pope, and I don't think I don't think being the vice captain of England was something that was really high on Ollie Pope's agenda. When he got the job, probably 2 or 3 years ago, when it was at a time when Harry Brook wasn't in the setup, the team was very much, we're trying to develop the batting unit. We had some of the older, more senior players in the likes of Broad, Anderson, Joe Root had done it before. So Ollie Pope was one of the guys that took the reins on from there, really. But as time has gone, it's emerged that Harry Brook's the leader in the group, really, or one of the leaders. The fact is now, I think we've got a lot of people that are decent leaders in that group, to different degrees, and the way they do it, the way that the example they set, Harry Brook's the one that, is the best of that group.
And there's been a lot of talk about Australia and their top order. You obviously toured there 20 odd years ago as an Ashes series. Are you just as excited to be part of the England group this time around ahead of this Ashes?
I think you almost just can't wait for it to happen, really. It's this lull before. I think this is going to be one of the best series for a long, long time. And, look, it's going to be really tough, but I'm so excited to see what's going to happen.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Vish Cricinfo, please.
Hi, Rob. This is your first Ashes Ashes series away, having picked the squad. Having been on our side of the fence, what have been your learnings that you took into this process about how the recent tours have gone?
Look, I think there's lots of talk about how things have been done in the past. I think ultimately you try and pick a squad that's as skillful, if not more skillful than the opposition, and has the right mentality to go and win out there. It's pretty simple. There's often a lot been spoken about, whether it's preparation, all of that. There's had times where they've played lots of games out there, very few games out there. Over the last however many series, we're 13-0 down. We haven't won a Test match since the one in 2011. In general, you think you need a battery of fast bowlers. You need batters that score more runs than the opposition. You do that, you've got every chance of winning.
With Jacks in particular, the role that he's been picked for, there have been opportunities to have him around the squad since I think the last time he was with the squad was the start of 2023, specifically the role that you've singled him out for. What has come to the fore recently that's, I suppose, got him on an Ashes trip?
No, I'm not necessarily. I mean, we try and pick for the conditions, right? So you look, if we were going to India, it'd be a very different makeup. When you play in England, we feel like it's a different makeup of spinner out there, or different style of cricket at times over here than it is out there. So this is the first time really where you're looking at what's happened in Australia in the past, in the recent past as well, and you feel that that style of cricketer will suit conditions out there. And it's an opportunity for him. And we've looked at, other spinners as well, and we feel that for this role that we want out there that covers a number of bases, Will Jacks is the best one.
Yes, thanks.
We'll go to John Weaver, and then we'll probably finish with Rory. Go ahead, John.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, do you think, looking on paper, this seems to be one of the most exciting pace attacks in recent Ashes tours? Do you think that is the case? They're one of the best suited in terms of the pace and what they offer. And are there contingency plans? Because many of them have obviously suffered recent injury problems.
Yeah, I mean, the contingency is we've probably got a few more bowlers that are going to be going out on the Lions as well. We're going to have a mixture there of high potential for a couple of years to come, and some guys that have been probably had a bit more of a role in county cricket, a bit more established. So you've got both bases covered. I think this is a bowling attack on the up. When we played against India, there was a very inexperienced bowling attack, and that series in those conditions on the surfaces we ended up playing on, that was tough. And you learned about what Test cricket was like was as a bowler in that series. So hopefully they'll be much better for the run out, and it's a bowling attack that are now starting to believe in themselves. You look at the way Josh Tongue has kicked on since that series. He's got better and better, whether it was in the 100 or in the last couple of championship games. So you're starting to see a bowling attack where some of these bowlers who haven't played 10 Test matches are now starting to think this is what's required in Test cricket, and this is where I need to go to be one of the best in the world. They have the potential to do that. They're on the start of that journey.
Do you think they scare Australia's top order?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them. I'm sure if you ask them, they'd say no.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, and we'll finish with Rory. Go ahead, mate.
Hi, Rob. Just if you can let us know where things stand with Chris Woakes. Obviously, played all the tests against India, got that injury, but age being what it is, have you had a conversation with him about where he stands longer term, or even is he someone who, if you need another bowler late in the series, is he someone who is still in your mind?
No, unlikely. I think Chris Woakes has, it's been as tough a time for someone, I think, in cricketing terms, the timing of it as much as anything else, and the chance of reoccurrence for the immediate future for Chris Woakes. So he was running out of time to be ready for the start of the Ashes. And then once you get out of an Ashes series, you're often looking at the next cycle, really. So Chris Woakes isn't in our plans at the minute.